Hello, everyone. David Young here again, coming back for week 3 of Talking Drones with Dave. Welcome back. Still not promoting this live stream. You might see it on our channel. I think we're getting like 90 views, which is good because I don't want a lot of people to watch this yet because I'm still figuring it out, working out the kinks, trying to figure out how much prep is involved, what I want to talk about, that kind of stuff. So, what I've done this time is I've got 5 news stories we're going to tackle in 10 minutes or less. I'm also going to make it a little fun. I used a little help from ChatGPT, and I have not reviewed the results yet. So I'll tell you about these news stories, and then I'm going to show you the script that ChatGPT wrote up for me to deliver to you, and we'll see how good or bad it is. I didn't really give it a whole lot of context, but that'll be fun. Then we'll dive into a little bit of what I've learned recently in my Masters of Uncrewed and Autonomous Systems program at Embry Riddle. We were going to do a little segment on that. I found some interesting things out that I didn't know before, which is fun. And talk a little bit about what we got going on at Drone Launch Academy, what we've been up to, what we've been doing. So, shall we dive in? News story number 1 from our top 5 in 10 is there's a new Russian drone. I didn't realize that they were doing this. So Russia has actually been ordering drones from Iran. So I'm not a huge military. I don't have a huge military background. I don't pretend to be like a military expert as far as UAVs go. I know they've been used a lot in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. All I've seen typically is Ukraine, throwing like little grenades on them, flying them over places, having little release mechanisms. I've seen drones spying on different people. And then, of course, you've seen probably drones, like loitering drones. Basically, they'll go and they'll fly into targets and explode. I saw one recently that hit Moscow, I think so. I think that was coming from the Ukrainian side. So they've been using drones back and forth, but let me share this with you. So Washington Post article I found, it had some interesting images of the drone. Here you go. So they've been ordering this drone ordered apparently this drone from Iran previously, and now they're working on building their own variant of it. See, Moscow's made steady progress manufacturing their own, capable of traveling more than 1,000 miles. I don't know how they got all these documents about this facility that they've been building, but here it is published, and here's the drone. They call it a flying moped. I don't even know how to say this. Shahed 136. But it basically delivers this explosive device here. It can fly 115 miles an hour, and it can go 1,000 miles. It's pretty far. So shows you the way drones are impacting the way battles are fought, and it's definitely going to get more and more and more prevalent as people drive the technology forward. All right, so I can link up this article for you because it goes into more depth there. But let's see what ChatGPT wrote up for me to talk about on this. Ready? Hello, everyone. David Young here from Drone Launch Academy. Today, we're diving deep into a significant development in the drone industry that is making headlines globally. It tries to make me sound like a news reporter. Russia, a name that often resonates with power and innovation, I would debate that, has unveiled their latest drone, the Shahed 341 Labuga. Wow, I don't think that's how you say that, but that's okay. Now, for those who might be wondering why this is such a big deal, the drone is being positioned as a direct competitor to the US MQ-9 Reaper. And if you're familiar with the MQ-9, you know that's a major statement. Then it says David leans in slightly, emphasizing the gravity of the situation. The MQ-9 Reaper, as many of you know, has been a stalwart of the US arsenal known for its surveillance and strike capabilities. The introduction of the Shahed 341 suggests that Russia is not just entering the drone game, they're aiming for the top spot. I like that. And then it says David shifts, introducing a broader perspective. But let's pull back a little bit and look at the bigger picture. The global drone landscape is in a state of rapid evolution. Countries are investing heavily, technologies are advancing at breakneck speeds, and the applications, they're expanding every day. David gestures to a screen or graphic, which you just saw, or you can see here. Here's an interesting angle. With the U.S. intelligence community closely monitoring this development, it's clear that drones are no longer just about aerial photography or package deliveries. That's going to be one of our future stories. They're becoming central to national security and defense strategy. So what does this mean for us, the drone community? First, it underscores the importance of staying informed and updated. The rules of the game are changing, and to stay ahead, we need to be on our toes. Second, for the drone enthusiast and professionals, this could open up new avenues and opportunities. Think about it. New technologies, new applications, and possibly new job roles. That is going to be true, not necessarily because of Russia, but because of where drones are headed in general. Then it says, I need to smile warmly. In the coming weeks, I'll be keeping a close eye on this story and how it develops and what it means for the global drone industry. For a detailed breakdown and to delve deeper into this topic, check out the full story linked below. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, in the world of drones, the only constant is change. Stay informed, stay curious, and as always, stay safe. Until next time. Not terrible. I don't know if a Russian person wrote that little bit about how Russia is known for being, what is it? Resonates with power and innovation. I don't know. It sounds shady to me, but that's what they wrote. Okay. So our next story is it's a quick one. So in McLean, Virginia, looks like McLean, but it's pronounced McLean if you're from that area. There's a company called MITRE, Research and Development Company. They're a big technology kind of research company. They've been doing stuff with drones. They just opened up a UAS test site or test facility. Virginia does a lot of stuff with drones. They have another UAS test site, I believe, that's connected with Virginia Tech, like the Mid-Atlantic. Gosh, I met the person who did it a long time ago, but Virginia, they do a lot with research and drones and test sites. So they have a new one. I looked through this article. It was really recent, so I want to stay, on top of it. But there's not a whole lot here, honestly, other than they've got a place where they can test government and commercial applications together, and it's run by this MITRE company. So that's it really on that. Interesting. Virginia's still moving ahead with drones, especially on research. Let's see what ChatGPT wrote up for me to say on this. All right. Hey, everyone. David Young here. Today, we're diving into a story that's closer to home, but has the potential to reshape the drone landscape in the U.S. and beyond. I think it made a little bit bigger deal of this test facility than it should have. MITRE, a tech powerhouse headquartered in McLean, Virginia, has just inaugurated a state-of-the-art drone experimentation range. Now, I know what you're thinking. Of course, you're all thinking this. Another drone test facility? Actually, ChatGPT, no one was thinking that. But trust me, this one's different, it says. First off, the sheer scale of this range is impressive. We're talking about a vast expanse dedicated solely to pushing the boundaries of drone tech. It's not just a testing ground, it's a sandbox for innovation. I would never say that. That's okay. But why Virginia? Well, the state has been positioning itself as a hub for tech innovation. With its proximity to the nation's capital and a thriving tech ecosystem, it's the ideal location for such a groundbreaking initiative by MITRE. Here's where it gets even more interesting. This is not just about testing new drone models or tweaking existing ones. MITRE's facility aims to explore the very frontiers of what drones can achieve. Think AI-driven autonomous flights, advanced surveillance capabilities, and even drones that can communicate and collaborate with one another in real time. Now, for the drone community, this is massive. I don't think it's massive, but it says it's massive. It means we're not just looking at incremental improvements. We're on the brink of a paradigm shift. Because it said all these big words, I told it in one of the next ones to use 9th grade language, so we'll see how it changes. The drones that emerge from this facility could even redefine how we think about aerial tech. It just goes on and on and on. In the coming months, I'll be watching closely and does that again. Thanks for joining me. That's the story. All right, next one. I just thought this was a good example. So in Dane County, Wisconsin, there was a guy who was on the run, and they chased him down, and they found him with a drone, and then they instructed the ground teams on where to go to find this guy and arrest him. So 33-year-old man, they found him with a drone. What they call it, the unmanned aerial vehicle team responded at 9:30. Deputy found the man hiding under brush in a wooded area. So they arrested him. So that was pretty cool. Again, short article. I was hoping that this video I originally was going to tell you this because I thought it had video of the drone footage. But as I dug deeper, this is a completely unrelated story on their website, unfortunately. So ChatGPT gave a story on that, but we're not going to dive into that because there's not a whole lot there to tell except for what I just told you. Next, so Hagerstown Airport in Maryland, they are, quote, sending a message to drone operators. So I dove into the story a little bit thinking, oh, this is interesting. Are they going to really be cracking down? It says ahead of September regulations. And I know that's remote ID. So I thought, oh, man, I thought Hagerstown Airport was going to be like, if we see anybody flying with remote ID, we're going to arrest you on the spot, take you into custody. I thought that's what it was going to be, even though I don't think you get arrested for it. But They literally are just saying, "Oh no, we're just getting the word out about remote ID." So this is all the stuff we talked about 2 weeks ago. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out our live stream from 2 weeks ago. I broke down all the remote ID rules and what all of this is. But it basically is just saying, "Hey, let's comply with remote ID when it comes out in September. Here's some updates." Something funny I thought from the article. Marcia kind of didn't proofread this. Officials at the Hagerstown Regional Airport have sent a message to drown operators in the area. Marcia, I really hope they're not drowning operators in the area. So that's our other story. And last but not least, this one is actually interesting. DJI enters drone delivery market with new Flycart 30 aircraft. This one's on Drone DJ. I saw articles about this a few other places as well. So DJI is getting into the package delivery or cargo transport delivery with a drone. This appears to be pretty similar to their agricultural drone. They have, I think it's the T30, the T30 and a T40. The Agris T40. Take a look. This is like their agricultural sprayer drone. So if you look, it's got that dual. Well, now it's not going to show us. Yeah, there we go. So it's got the dual props, top and bottom. So it's quadcopter, but then it's got top and bottom. So it's like an octocopter kind of, I guess. I guess maybe it wouldn't be called that since it doesn't have 8 arms. But if you look at that, and then you look at these photos, it looks very similar, but they just outfitted it to carry a package or cargo instead of a sprayer. And right now you can only get these, it seems, in China. They're not bringing them out to other markets yet. But some of the specs on them is they can go 10 miles on one charge. So that's pretty far. Something else that I thought was interesting is they can hand off. So one drone operator can be flying, and then with another controller, you can literally hit a button. It'll switch controls to the other pilot, and they can continue to fly the aircraft. So that gets around some of those connectivity issues. It also can connect to cellular data. It's very interesting. It goes pretty fast too. Where was I finding it? Or maybe it just goes pretty far. Let's see. It can stay airborne 18 minutes so a 30 kilogram payload for all of us U.S. people. That's like 2.2 times 30. Yeah, it's like over 60 pounds. So that's a lot. I mean, again, I can probably carry that because it's used to carrying liquids for pesticides and spraying and all that. But it'll be interesting to see how that works if they bring it to the U.S. So you can either bring that, this thing can land on the ground like an actual box package, or it has another one that can lower. It looks like with a winch and a cable, dual delivery methods. So we'll see how DJI comes out with stuff. I don't know how they make these drones so fast. I don't know if they have a bajillion people working over there or what, but they come out with new drones. It seems like every month they come out with DJI Mini 3 Pro, Mavic 3. They just came out with the Mavic Air 3. Now they come out with this thing. They got sprayer drones. They're always updating the cameras and the sensors. It's like on the commercials. Oh, yeah, and not to mention all the Mavic 3 Enterprise, Mavic 3 Enterprise Thermal, the RTK modules that can go on those. They're like doing so much in so many different areas all the time. Gosh, it's hard to keep up, especially if you're a US-based drone company. It just seems like DJI just goes really fast. So that's impressive. I imagine this will be available in the US at some point, but I guess we'll see. So those are my stories. Those are my 5 and 10. Stop sharing. I don't think I'm going to go a full hour this week because that's just a lot of time to. Oh man, I kept this new drone Russian thing up here the whole time. Well, sorry. All right, cool. I'm back on the comments. I couldn't see you guys for a while, but I'm looking here. Alspina, what's up? Maryland drone guy, Kevin, what's up? Paul, how's it going, man? You guys are my crew here today. So that's the news update. Next week, I'm going to work on here's my critique of this. I think that the DJI story was good. I think the Russian drone thing was interesting. I think the McLean test range story was a waste of your time and mine. I think the police finding someone with a drone story could have been cool if they had footage, but they didn't. So it was a little bit weak. And then the one at the Hagerstown airport, again, kind of a bust of a story other than the misspelled word about them drowning drone operators. So my apologies on those 3 week stories. 3 week as in WEAK. Improvements for next time, better vetting of the stories. I went and I only went off of the headlines. And then I was really trying to mess around with ChatGPT, see if I could get a good output. I'm like, I wonder if I can find the articles and then that I think are interesting based on the headlines. I can throw those in ChatGPT. You can use some plugins now where it can read the article and then it can write a script based on what it knows from the article. So I was tweaking that, messing around with that, wasted too much time with the AI. I should have just read them for myself quickly, realized 3 of those were junk, found some better news stories, more interesting, more relevant, and then just talked about them myself. So learning experience for next time. Although I was interested to see that ChatGPT could create some long thing. I was wondering why I just kept saying the same kind of stuff over and over again. It's because the articles that it was reading were like super short, didn't really have a whole lot of information. So I was making that stuff up. So that's for next time. That's again why I'm not promoting this widely, is because I want to work out these kind of kinks and see how it goes before we really make this bigger. All right, next thing, school update. Well, first off, let me sip some of coffee. I got a little Nespresso machine over here. You can't see it. Got a little kind of half kitchen. This used to be a studio apartment that I turned into my office. I got a little Nespresso machine over there. So I made some like a black coffee from it. So cheers. Okay, school update. So I'm taking the Masters of Science in uncrewed and autonomous systems at Embry Riddle Aeronautical University. I talked about that a few weeks ago. I'm doing that because I just want to dive deeper into drones. I've got a lot of experience with consumer grade drones and some of the current applications of drones for commercial use. So, mapping, cinematography, real estate, inspections, all that kind of stuff. I've got experience with photogrammetry software, all the editing softwares, a lot of the stuff that's people are commonly using them for. But what I feel like I'm weak on is where drones are going 10 years from now, how all the systems work for package delivery, what people who are going to be doing maintenance on these platforms, what are they going to need to know? What are all the jobs going to look like in the drone industry after the commercial applications are a lot bigger? Stuff about AI. So I want to learn more about these areas. So join a master's program to help me dive deeper into this, so I can be more intertwined into the larger commercial applications of bigger platforms, things like that. So when we're training for the future, we know what to be training people on. So week 3 is all about uncrewed or unmanned ground vehicles. So in the master's program, you look at all types of autonomous vehicles. Something that was interesting that I was reading, it's funny, when you're paying for your own master's program, you take it a little bit more seriously than when you're doing your undergrad. I feel like when you're doing your undergraduate degree, you're kind of just there to get the degree and move on. So if you just need to check a box, all you do is check a box. But if you're paying for your own master's degree, you actually try to learn stuff, which has been fun. So there is a company called RTI. Let me see if I can pull them up for you. So I was reading this paper. We were supposed to read through this paper. Let me share it with you. You're not gonna be able to see it very well because it's small. All right. So the secret sauce of autonomous cars. It was by this Stan Schneider. He's the CEO of Real Time Innovations, RTI. This was pretty dense paper, but really it all comes down to this thing called DDS. If you're not familiar with what DDS is, it's right here. Well, it was here. Hold on. Higher up. Okay. Data distribution service. And it's basically a little piece of software that allows all of the components in the autonomous vehicle to talk to each other. So it can connect the sensors to the flight controller, like if you're in a drone, right? The navigation sensors to the flight controllers, to GPS, to all this stuff. And it's not like it goes to one central kind of data. Again, you need to be more experienced with data to really understand this. And I was not. But basically, instead of it's sending it all to one main central point where everything gets bogged down and has to redistribute, it can connect those sensors to each other. So if you are familiar with how an API works, an API, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a common table of, hey, here's all the information that is available that comes from our system, right? So Teachable, we do online courses. Teachable has an API. If I want to connect my course information with like another database. So we have something that's like, we do a game for one of our courses where people can score points and do different things. We can pull course information, like what is this person's email address and name, and we pull them into this other thing where we're keeping track of all the points for the game we're doing. So we can make those two systems talk to each other, like, hey, go grab the name field and put it over here. So that's like an API. Well, if you think about it, all the sensors in a drone are going to have the same thing. They're sending information and they need to go to other places to store that and process it and make decisions. So this, it's called middleware. Data distribution service allows those things to do that super, super fast. So for instance, I'm trying to break this down as easily as possible. This is for like an autonomous car. So this is like the perception. So the sensors of it seeing, looking out for people, traffic lights, all this stuff. Think about a Tesla with like the vision sensors. It is going to be sending information over to actuation, which is like, do I need to hit the brakes? Should I hit the gas? Do I need to turn the steering wheel to the left? You know, it's going to be sending information over here frequently for this to be able to make decisions. And they send information at different rates and they request information at different rates. So this software can help parse that out to make everything flow smoothly and for there to be no latency, because you wouldn't want a delay from the sensor saying, oh, hey, a guy just stepped out in the middle of the road, to sending it to the computer that's going to say, oh, I should hit the brakes. You know what I mean? Because if that was a delay, you would have a bad issue on your hands. Someone would get hit. So that's what all this is about. And it's saying the fact that you can have this software in the middle is what kind of makes everything work together. And I think a good example is, you heard about when Ford, I heard an interview from the CEO of Ford. He was talking about how there's so much programming that goes into their vehicles. You know, there's all these different companies that write all this different software code for the entertainment console and, you know, some of the stuff that makes the timing of the engine work, all these different computer algorithms that have to happen, or codes that have to run at the same time, and they all have to interact with each other in a certain way. So they've got to make a way for them to fit together. Well, sometimes one person will make an update in their software and it'll mess up another piece of software because that software is counting on a certain type of information coming, and it screws up things like cars. And so, you know, when you have electric vehicles and there's a lot more components and a lot more programming, it seems like they use this DDS system to make everything run a lot more seamlessly. Whereas it seems like maybe they weren't using that in some other car manufacturers. Again, I could be wrong. I'm not a car guy, but this applies to drones because it's the same thing. Drones and airplanes, there's so many sensors and systems and things talking to each other that there's got to be some software in the middle to make everything talk correctly, and that it's secure, and that everything's getting to the right place really, really, really fast. So yeah, so that's this, right? And I was reading through this going, oh man, what is this? They call it a data bus. So it's just what sends the data around. So if you're ever wondering and you want to nerd out for a while, you can dive into DDS, the connectivity of all the data that makes these systems work. So I was diving into that. Interesting. You definitely need software engineers to program all this stuff, because without being able to manage data and know what data is going where, especially in these larger platforms, it's going to be tough, especially when things get more autonomous. People are going to need to understand these systems to be able to do maintenance on them, and when they break, understand why and reprogram. Those are where the jobs are going to be in the future. It's going to be a lot more jobs like that. So on the actual physical aircraft itself, maintaining it mechanically, you know, there's going to be cables and winches. You know, I went to a conference in Colorado. It was the Exponential Conference, and Wing Aviation, they're like the Google subsidiary. They were there displaying to have like a drone, a VTOL drone. Basically, it can take off vertically, it'll fly, and then it stops and it hovers, and then it drops this little winch. You know, it uncoils this cord or cable, drops the package, and then coils it back up. Well, it was like stuck and doing all this thing. It had some problems. So mechanical issues there. Obviously, some type of engineer needs to get in there and fix that. But then there's software that tells that spool when to unspool, when to wind back up, how fast to go, when to trigger those motors, right? So all those people are working together to put those systems together. So not just drone operators and drone pilots. There's going to be a lot of systems people too, and working in the actual aircraft and solving those problems. A lot of opportunity there for the future. All right. That's what I've been learning in my classes. The most recent thing we're working on is we got more stuff for Drone Launch Live. We have a couple speakers locked in. So that is September 22nd and 23rd. Jeff Carrillo, he does thermography and moisture mapping. He uses a drone. He's got a thermal drone, the DJI, I think it's the M30T, whatever that larger thermal drone is. He uses that for all of his jobs. He's done some neat stuff. So he's going to do a 20-minute presentation on how he does moisture mapping with drones. We have Root Patel. He's our mapping and modeling instructor at Drone Launch, or one of them. And he's going to do a presentation on how he he's going to do a presentation on how he sorry, Al, what are you saying? Michael, who's anyways, he's going to do a presentation on a job he did for smart cities. So he mapped out several square miles of our town, Lakeland, Florida, did a project for them. He did some railroad mapping for, I don't remember what it was called, but basically if trees are growing out and people's property and stuff are getting over the railroad, they need that to be cleared off so the trains don't hit stuff. So he was doing some corridor mapping for a railroad in Colombia. He might talk about that a little bit. So got some fun speakers lined up. We're also going to be doing 3 different tracks. There's a very hands-on. So you can pick FPV, mapping, or photography and cinematography. I don't know if Kevin is on here still, Maryland drone guy, but he's going to be leading the photography and cinematography track. I've been talking to Alex Harris. He's still a maybe for being able to make it to the event, but if he can make it, he'll join in with Kevin as well to teach that. They're going to go out. They're going to fly in the morning. They're going to talk about their settings, what they're capturing, what they're looking at, how they're capturing it. And then in the afternoon, right after lunch, they're going to come back and work on editing it. So, hey, here's what I do to edit my stuff in Lightroom or Premiere Pro or Final Cut. And we're going to put together some photos and videos. The FPV folks, in the morning, they're going to do some simulators. We're getting a bunch of soldering kits and practice boards and a couple FPV build kits. And Dusty Jolly is going to teach you how to solder together your own FPV drone. You're going to practice on the simulators. You're going to build a couple of FPV drones that morning. Then that afternoon, you're going to go out and you're actually going to start flying. So if you've never flown an FPV drone before, you should get an opportunity to actually get some hands-on flight time with one. So we're going to do that, buzz around, have some fun. I will be in the mapping and modeling group. In that group, Root Patel is going to join me. We're going to in the morning, do some flight planning, get our data acquisition, automated flight path together. And then we're going to go to a bridge. Well, it's like an overpass. And we're going to do an orthomosaic image of the road. And we're going to do a 3D model of the overpass and bridge. That afternoon, we're going to come back to our event space. And we're going to process that through several different pieces of software, do some analysis on it, show you how to turn that into a cool 3D model, how you might share that with someone, how to do some analysis, how to look at that, how to make it useful, right? So that's going to be like the mid-morning to mid-afternoon. We're going to be all working on our projects, flying around, doing fun stuff. And then from 3 to 5, we have those speakers I talked about, talking about projects they're working on, things they're doing. And then from 5 to 6, we got a bunch of giveaways. We're talking to a bunch of companies. People are donating stuff for us to give away to everyone who attends. We're going to bring some drone launch swag. We got some gift cards. We're trying to get some drones. We got some other drone gear and accessories. So we're going to be doing some fun giveaways. We also have some awards that we'll be awarding then too. The Wingman Award will be awarded for each group. Whoever is voted by the group to have been the most helpful person in the group and the biggest sort of collaborator, encourager. The whole point of this event is to learn together and to help each other get better in the drone industry network. So there'll be 3 Wingman Award winners. So I'm excited about that. Looking forward to the event. If you want to go, just go to dronelaunchacademy.com/DLC for Drone Launch Connect. And if you're an annual member, you'll get an access code to attend the event. So looking forward to it. All right, we're coming up on 30 minutes here. I've shared my 5 stories, given an update on some school stuff, given an update on drone launch. Last night I was filming a course on how to use AI in your drone business. So I did that with Andrew from our team, and we put that up, or actually we recorded it, and it's getting edited and will be up in Drone Launch Connect at the end of the month or next month. But we added 2 workshops last month. We added pricing your drone services and doing progression shots with your drone. So if you're a Drone Launch Connect member, you should have access to those workshops now. And the ones coming up for this month are how to do search and rescue with your drone. We have a former first responder who has been on tons of search and rescue missions where he's utilized drones. So he's going to be talking about that, and they're filming that next week. And those should be up. And we're going to be putting out 2 workshops every month for the rest of the year to give you guys constant content to be learning with and getting better. So that's all I have for now. Thanks, everyone. See you next Thursday.